Marketing in 2025 is wild. Savvy customers spot fake messaging instantly, privacy changes make ad targeting a nightmare, and everyone needs more content than ever. That's why you have to check out HubSpot's new marketing trends report. It doesn't just show you what's changing, it shows you exactly how to deal with it. Everything's backed by research, but focused on marketing plays you can use tomorrow. You ready to turn marketing hurdles into results? Go to clickhubspot.com/marketing to download it for free. Good morning, everybody. Today is Monday, April 7th. I'm John Weigel here with Martina, Bretous, and Matt Village, and this is the Hustle Daily Show. Welcome to your update for all things AI. Today, we're zeroing in on the implications of Elon Musk's sale of X to XAI, Apple's entry into AI health coaching, and ChatGPT versus image-generating powerhouse Midjourney. We'll chat about all that in a bit, but first, let's give you the news across business and tech. Starting off today with something that everybody had on their bingo card, U.S. President Donald Trump gave TikTok another 75 days to find a buyer or face a nationwide ban. A source told NPR that negotiators had planned to announce a deal last Friday, but Chinese regulators wouldn't approve it due to U.S. tariffs on Chinese imports. Problems stacked on problems stacked on problems. Next, Hershey is acquiring Lesser Evil, which makes better-for-you popcorn and other snacks in a deal worth a reported $750 million. It's one of several salty snack acquisitions the chocolate giant has made over the last several years, and it also joins the trend of these big conglomerate companies buying healthier, smaller companies. Think Pepsi and Poppi. From there, we get into some tech. Meta announced two new Llama 4 models on Saturday, the smaller Scout model, which can be used for tasks like summarizing documents, Maverick, intended as a chatbot and assistant, and the more robust Behemoth, which Zuck called the world's highest performing base model, is forthcoming in the future as well. From there to the movies, the latest big screen adaptation of a video game, the Minecraft movie. Over to the movie business, the latest big screen adaptation of a video game, the Minecraft movie, brought in $58 million this past Friday, which put it on the road to a $135 million opening weekend or possibly more. On the back of the Mario movie and Sonic 3, Hollywood seems to have found quite a new darling. So long Marvel, so long superheroes, make way for the video game characters. And finally, if you're looking to travel the world with minimal carbon footprint or you just don't like planes, travel company Adventures by Train has a new concept for you. Take a wild guess. The company is now offering a 100-day trip around the world for $146,184. The journey includes mostly, as you would guess, rail travel, and its first departure is in March of 2026 for 12 lucky and probably very rich participants. Hope you can get on that train. Okay, on to our main segment today. As mentioned above, today we have Martina, Bretous, and Matt Village from the Mindstream newsletter discussing the latest AI news. Let's get into it, y'all.
Hi, Matt. Welcome back to the show.
Hey, Martina. Yeah, thanks for having me on as always.
Yeah, okay, let's jump in. There's a lot to cover. So the first thing I want to talk about is Elon Musk selling X to himself, basically, to his XAI startup.
Yes.
What's happening here? Break it down for us.
So basically, this is kind of all about integrating the resources of the two platforms. So XAI basically wants X's data. There's a lot of training data there. There's an extensive user base. Obviously, X already has Grok integration, image gen integration. So it's just kind of about marrying those two platforms further together. But interestingly, you might have seen the amount. So it was 33 billion and then 13 billion of debt, I think.
Oof.
Which the interesting thing about that is it's 1 billion more than Musk paid. So this also gives Elon a chance to say, see, buying Twitter was a good investment because I've actually sold it for more than I paid for it. There were lots of headlines last year saying, the value of Twitter had plummeted and advertisers are fleeing the platform. But now Musk can kind of say, well, actually, I've at least made my money back.
Yeah, what stood out to me there is you mentioned user data and how by him merging X and XAI, he's able to have training data readily available from X users. And I think that's really interesting because, well, obviously data is something we've talked about a lot and it's a big concern. And we're always talking about how we don't exactly know if the ways that these AI companies are getting their data, if it's ethical. We talk about copyright all the time. And so Elon Musk is kind of using a little cheat code here. He owns both. He owns the AI company, and then he has access to this data that he can use to make his models even stronger. So it's a pretty interesting hack that he has there.
Yeah, and I think obviously users are expressing concerns about privacy and data privacy. And I think, keep an eye on those terms and conditions. I think they'd already updated them before to kind of say, yeah, we can use all your tweets or whatever they call them now to train our models. Interestingly, I don't know if you've seen, it's also come out, there's been a big data leak from X. So like lots of user account details, that doesn't necessarily mean passwords or anything like that, but a lot of data that shouldn't have been public has been kind of hacked and made public. So people who are having concerns about their data, it also shows X aren't doing the best at looking after it.
Ooh, okay. So there's a lot there happening that we'll have to keep an eye on. Now, looking at Apple, they're reportedly working on an AI coach that they're going to add to their health app. So it's going to be a health coach, essentially. Apple is notoriously slow to launch. We had Matt Wolf on a couple of weeks ago, and he was saying how Apple is never the first to launch, so this isn't anything new. And it's not necessarily a sign that they're struggling. It's just how Apple does things. And I want to get your take on it. Do you think that Apple is struggling, or do you agree with Matt that it's just the way that they do things?
I do think Apple is struggling. They're certainly lagging behind competitors like Google. We've seen this really kind of bungled Apple Intelligence rollout. Lots of those features that were promised at the launch of the iPhone 16, so that was in September, they're still not out. It's 6-7 months later. Siri, people moan about Siri every day. How terrible is Siri? Everyone hates Siri.
I'm the main hater.
When you compare it to like the Google Voice Assistant or Alexa, like Siri just can't compete. And it's interesting. I think Apple likes to be kind of second to the market, so they wait to perfect it. But the problem with AI is it's moving so rapidly, they can't keep up. And Apple likes to be second to the market, which is great for hardware. They weren't the first phone to have a fingerprint scanner or a facial recognition, but they did it the best. When it comes to kind of AI software, because it's iterative constantly, they're just being left behind. One of the issues Apple is facing is talent acquisition and retention. They struggle to kind of attract and retain top AI talent. There's been a lot of movement in their top teams, their Siri teams, their AI teams all moving around. It's not as appealing to AI researchers who like this kind of open sourcing. AI is more kind of scientific, whereas Apple is kind of a secretive corporate culture. Another thing is Apple is extremely privacy focused, which is good for the user, but it means they're pushing for AI to be kind of processed on device, which is a major kind of stumbling block. These AI models need so much power. They need cloud computing, powerful GPUs, whereas Apple needs to find a way to kind of condense it all into the palm of our hand, which is why they're struggling.
Oh, that's so interesting. I didn't even consider the hiring or the talent problem, because if they're having trouble retaining talent, then of course we're going to see some delays. And like you said, if Siri has no haters, I'm dead because I am the main complainer of it. And this is really interesting. So now moving on to OpenAI, we're seeing some chatter online about how ChatGPT's new image generator is much better than Midjourney. And I know you love Midjourney.
I do.
So what's your take on that? Have you had a chance to test it? Do you think that's actually true? Or is it kind of just, it's a new kid on the block and everybody's just hyping it up?
Yeah, so this new ChatGPT image gen is excellent. It's really good. The key difference is it's now so good at text, and it's really, really good at following prompts. So you can give it a really long, complicated prompt with loads of text in. I recommend going to the OpenAI website and looking at some of their examples. They've literally got like a whole whiteboard covered in completely legible text, like these crazy images that you can't believe at AI. That's something new, like ChatGPT and Midjourney have been able to do text, but it's never been very good. So you maybe need to generate a few times just to get like a single sentence right. It's limited at the moment. So if you're on the free tier, you can do 3 images a day. So recommend checking that out on your free account. If you've got one, if you're on Pro, you can do more. I'd say it's not flawless. So you might have seen there's been a big viral trend about making these Studio Ghibli themed images. So it's very good at editing images. But I've noticed that, for example, I uploaded a kind of simple graphic to it with some white text on and said, can you change this text for me? And it said, yeah, sure. And I said, don't change anything else but the text. And then it brought it back and it changed the text, but it changed the whole image as well. And it said to me, yeah, I've just changed the text, all done, but I can see you've changed the whole image. So, it's still not flawless, still not a kind of all-in-one solution. Other problems, it's a lot slower than Midjourney. So Midjourney is faster and will generate 4 images at a time. They're easier to refine. Midjourney has less content restrictions. OpenAI try and be quite safe on the copyright side. So you might have noticed this if you've used ChatGPT to generate images. You get kind of weird looking eyes. And the reason for that is not because it can't do them. It's because it tries to not look like celebrities, basically. This is a bit of a weird thing. You don't get that with Midjourney. And then another thing is AI is moving so quickly. Yes, I would say this new version of ChatGPT is better than Midjourney, but Midjourney 7.0 is probably around the corner. And when that comes out, people will say, ChatGPT image is dead. You need to use Midjourney. So let's see where it goes. But yeah, it's very impressive. And I recommend checking it out if you haven't used it already.
Interesting. Yeah, I love how you broke down the pros and cons for each platform. And I think that gives people a lot of good information about what to use for what use case. So switching gears a little bit, I saw in the news that a former US Senate staffer is launching an AI startup that's aimed at helping government offices streamline their work. Now, what stands out to you about how the current US administration is approaching AI?
There's been a huge shift towards deregulation and away from safety. So Biden passed some executive orders about AI safety, whereas Trump is passing orders about kind of innovation, investment, deregulation. This administration is pushing for substantial private sector growth and investment. There's an emphasis on new infrastructure. And I think the idea is they want to make sure the US stays number one, keeps ahead of the competition. They also want to make sure they stay ahead of China, Russia, etc. They see it as a necessity to stay the kind of number one in the world for AI.
It's kind of reflective of how we see different AI companies, their mission, how they approach AI. We see some like OpenAI that are very about innovation, that are very aggressive in their approach. And they know that if they don't innovate at a very fast pace, that they're going to get left behind and it may, hurt them more than it helps them. But then you have the more conservative approach where some people are saying, hey, we can't go too fast because then that's when accidents happen. That's where safety concerns come up, data. And so it's interesting to see the two different administrations back to back have completely different approaches to it. One being more conservative, whereas one being a little bit more aggressive. That's really interesting.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, there you have it. Thank you for that breakdown, Matt. It was great having you.
Thank you so much, Martina. You take care.
Take care.
All right, thank you so much, everybody. That's going to do it for us today. And thank you, everybody, for listening to The Hustle. We're a proud part of HubSpot Media. Our editor is Robert Hartwig. Our executive producer is Darren Clark. We've got a ton more tech and business coverage in our newsletter. If you're not subscribed, sign up at thehustle.co/email and follow us on Instagram at The Hustle Daily. We will catch you later. Hey, everybody. I've been listening to this awesome podcast lately. You know it. You love it. My First Million, hosted by Sam Parr and Sean Puri, is brought to you by the HubSpot Podcast Network, the audio destination for business professionals. My First Million features famous guests like Alex Hormozi, Sophia Amoruso, and Hassan Minaj, sharing their secrets on how they made their first $1 million and how to apply their learnings to capitalize on today's business trends and opportunities. Talk about somebody that's really in the now. They had on Mr. Beast recently, and Mr. Beast talked about his origin story and how he made his first $1 million and how you can make anything go viral if you really try to do it, which is a great listen. So I would definitely recommend checking it out. You can catch all the recent episodes whenever you want, and you can listen to My First Million wherever you get your podcasts.